Thanks for staying with us. So, earlier in the week, we had taken a story about a boy who had sued his parents for sending him back to Africa. We recently found a video of a young girl who was throwing tantrums, serious tantrums, at the supermarket in the U.S. I think it was Walmart. Not one person, everybody tried to stop her. They heard her saying that she was going through a mental depression and she should be left alone. And she was throwing away, destroying all the produce, throwing them on the floor, breaking some bottles of wine, throwing chips and cookies on the floor, scattering the entire supermarket. And the adults kept trying to hold her, trying to understand her. They were being very calm and gentle with her, understanding that she could be going through some mental depression. You know, when anybody tried to hold her hard, they warned the person, leave her alone, you don't know what she's going through, don't do that to a child, you know. And these are the thinking and mentality that all the coaches, all the parental coaches always tell us that you don't spank children. You have to talk to them because you don't know what they're going through. You have to be their friend. Now, where do we now draw the line between disciplining children and being their friend? And it's unfortunate that Tokwe is not here and BC, because those are two. Tokwe is, they both have this perspective on when it comes to training. You know, Tokwe will say, don't spank a child. I would like to ask her today.
Miriam is of that.
In this kind of situation, Miriam too, that's what I'm saying. I'm happy that Miriam is here to kind of help us on that perspective, because the truth is that there's always that thin line. We're not sure where to cross it. At what point do I spank? At what point shouldn't I spank? And how do I avoid a situation like what just happened to this girl? Can it happen to a Nigerian family? What solution do you think a Nigerian mother would take if your child starts throwing that kind of tantrum in a public place? What's the best thing to do? That's our conversation today. And I'm not sure if our producer will be showing the video so that you have an idea. But now, we don't want to generalize and say this is how every child behaves abroad. No. Exactly. In some cases, there are bad behaviors, there are good behaviors. Some even train their children better than those of us in Nigeria. They speak their language in the US. They're more cultured. Here, we are probably less even cultured than those abroad because they appreciate their values and their culture more. So we're not trying to judge those abroad. It's important to state that. But we're saying that in this singular situation, how do we look at it and interpret it from our own lens as Nigerians and Africans? You can join the conversation 081 0764 1679 090241 63440. You can also send us messages on TVC pages on X and also on YouTube. We'll be happy to read your messages. Mariam, should I start with you?
Sure.
Let me hear. What are your thoughts on this?
So I'm happy that you mentioned that not all the children that live abroad act like this. Obviously, this is a child with a problem. And the reason that child did what she did and continued to behave the way she did is not because no one spanked her. It's because no one stepped in at all to discipline her. It's not about lack of spanking. It's lack of discipline, period. So, and there are different ways to discipline a child without resorting to beating. Sometimes you will beat a child and the child will continue, even just to rile you up further, you know. So for me, it was quite a long video, and I was wondering what the aim of just allowing a girl run rampage across a supermarket, throwing things, breaking bottles, and no one thought to stop her. Obviously, in America, you have to be careful how you approach other people's children. But here in Nigeria, at least someone, even if they don't hit you, at least someone would call you out for your bad behavior. They would say something to you. No one did that. Everyone was looking at her. So this is not a situation of lack of beating. It's just lack of discipline, simple. And secondly, someone also in the video said, you don't know what she's going through. If that child has such a problem to the point that she is doing that, then an intervention should have been applied long before. You know, who is calling her aside and asking her to stop? You can hold the child's hand quite tightly and say, stop what you're doing. Sit down. Sit in the corner. I need to talk to you. And then you talk to the child and ask what is happening. But when you don't do anything at all, and I say, oh, it's because of beating. Sometimes beating would get the person to stop. In that case, even, you can get that child to stop what she's doing right there, but you will not know the why that she has that problem, why she reacted that way. And the idea is not only to punish, but to also understand what to do to help that child going forward. But clearly, that was bad behavior, and she should have been disciplined immediately and not allowed to run rampage.
So let me go to this phrase called what a child is going through. Because when we're growing up, there was nothing like, what are you going through? Who cares what you're going through? Aside from read your school books and pass your exams. But today, you got to consider what the child is going through. Nima, in your own view, how do you interpret that video? I don't know if our producers will show it, but we'll see. But
so what
pretty much is a video of a young girl.
Of about less than 10. Child.
People need to see that video.
They need to put the video. A child, less than 10, is going through. Now, cry is supposed to cry. If the child was crying, I will understand the term. What do you call that word now? What the child is going through. But the child that look him mother in the eye and chalk base, because I don't know who clear that be. Because when they arrange the damages, look the mother in the eye, the father in the eye, and bring that damages home. If I don't beat that child publicly, that child should be sure that once the doors are closed, like my mother used to do. My mother wants to beat a child. She hates people telling her, Tito, don't beat her. So my mother will pretend and smile at you while you're doing your rubbish outside. You get inside. The beating you receive, whenever you're outside, you'll be remembering that instance and how to comport yourself. I don't understand. This child had a field day in a full shopping mall, matching. The one that she dropped that did not break, she matched it. She go to the shelf, she drop it. If you watch the video, you can torture a parent. And then the child, we're supposed to have new rules. I saw that post on somebody's page and she said, are we ready for this kind of environment and society and their rules for raising children? Because Nigerian parents out there need to have new methods. They need to start to devise new methods of raising their kids. This freedom, limitless freedom, and I don't think freedom is limitless anywhere in the world. I don't think so. This limitless freedom that is so promoted, you can choose a gender, you can discontinue God's creation gender in your body, you can do anything. It's too wide. It's something that must be calculated. I was just wishing that child was in Nigeria. If the mother did not beat that child,
I
would have bought a pancake for that child.
Mariam to help me to understand where do we draw the line? Because the Nigerian perspective, the cultural perspective, and the fact that I have to understand that there's a possibility that child is going through something. She could be going through bullying in the school that we don't know about. Going through, there could be issues because we were never considered, our feelings and emotions growing up were never really considered. Like, what are you going through? Like, I remember my uncle telling me that. What was worrying?
But what you are going through, is this how you exhibit it?
Reading your school books, eating. What else could be your problem?
But if you even have a problem, is it to break the house or you burn down the house at 10?
People express anger and frustration in different ways. Yeah, Maka, what are your thoughts on this?
No, that's cool.
My facial expression, I said it all. Because I want to believe that 90%, let me not use 99% of Nigerians who watch this video and who will still watch this video, we are all thinking the same thing. Let me tell you something. There's a difference between discipline and beating or bullying. Let me use myself as an example. In my house, they don't beat, they don't hit. I grew up in a home where no flogging, no beating. My father, I and my sister, they painted the house white. Before my father came back from work, we had gone to design the whole wall. That is the only time in my entire life my father ever gave me one slap because I lied when they asked me. They gave me one slap, and then they caned me. And that is in my memory and history books.
Forever.
Forever.
And you never
and this brain resets. Let me tell you something. There's how you discipline a child and speak. If my father tells you time for conversation, sit down, know that Gengate is happening. You can discipline a child by speaking to that. You mustn't hit a child to discipline a child. That video that I saw is crazy. You went crazy. Your parents were not, at no point did the girl's parents, father or mother, come to the scene to try to hold her or to calm her down or to say, stop it. They didn't even do that. The girl was throwing down things, even food items, and stepping on them. Who is going to pay for that? Who's going to take responsibility for that? And then you're saying that she's going through what? So, let me tell you something. If you're living abroad, you discipline your children, you speak your language. It's good to speak your language. If you're Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, Maga Kanti. You tell the child so that when the child just hears that Maga Kanti, their brain will just go, they'll know that, when I enter the car or reach house, it don't they happen. Gang will happen.
That technique doesn't work anymore,
Okay.
because that's language you're speaking. You know what they do? They get to school on Monday next day, and they'll tell their teacher that when my mother says this word, she beats me in the house, and they'll get you arrested. So though back then, it used to work where you speak your language, your child knows, or you let the child play, they mess up outside. When you get to the house, you spank the child in your house. Try that today. You yourself, you know that tomorrow they'll call 911 on you, and no matter where you are, you'll be scared. So even parents abroad, not that they're all scared, but they're also fearful of the fact that I can't go out of line in this society because there are rules and regulations on how to train and raise children.
That's
you
why
can't
you
use
must
that
tell
technique.
them.
But it might not work in 2024.
I have a friend abroad who told her child that, see, I will beat you. Go to school, tell your teacher, they will take you from me. Give to foster parents. We will not see again till you're 18. Since you don't like me, that will be the result. That thing set that child. She understands when she's being disciplined inside the house. She should not have a conversation with with teachers.
Let me even tell you,
But
let me tell you the real one that happened in London, where the kids now went, two of them, now went and reported their parents. Every day they were threatening their parents when they want to discipline them, that I will report you. And they both went and reported. Okay. So when they reported the parents, they now took them to one nice house like that. They say, and they come there even they discuss and say, oh, our life done better, eh? See what they want carry us go and everything. Took them to Paris and stuff. When the real thing now happened, by the time they finished the court case process and everything, they now saw the real place that they were taking them to. Cry, beg. They've been begging, crying. The parents say, no, you will stay there. You reported us. You say you don't want. That place, they've taken, you will stay. Now, the children, they've been running kitty, kata, kata, looking for how now for them to come back home. Because now, they've seen that it's not that enjoyment that they used to treat them, that we're taking to a better place. They don't say, no, be waiting, they happen.
So, as I said, when I started having this conversation, that this conversation is not about beating or not beating. It's about discipline, full stop. And I like your story, where, you're able to show that you were disciplined without being hit. Some of us are trying to do that with our children, but we were beating as when we were growing up. And I have come to understand that sometimes what proper discipline without beating can do, just beating is unable to do it. Beating can shut a child up. Beating can, you are able to punish someone and stop the behavior right in front of you without necessarily addressing the issues. Now, for me, I feel that child to have thrown the sort of tantrum she was doing at that supermarket is a lack of discipline long before then. It was not about lack of discipline at that point. This is a child that probably has seen people express their frustrations that way, has been allowed to express her frustrations that way. And so, but everyone is talking about the parents. Where were they? For me, where are all the staff in the place?
They are not allowed now.
No, you can approach the child. Well, I don't know in America. At least in Nigeria, you'll be able to approach the child and stop the child from the destruction.
Nigeria,
You're not beating. No, I understand. You can. As a parent, you can do whatever you want to do. After all, a parent followed his child to school because they beat the teacher, and the teacher died. You can decide to do what you want to do. But if you want to address the situation, there has to be a way that you discipline a child to get the result of better behavior. And, for the better, there's this show that I like to watch. I can't remember it now. But it's a nanny that will come to your house, especially to parents who were dealing with children that they could not handle. Super nanny or something like that. So a lot of them, these are Oyibo children or Oyibo families that will believe, oh, they just allow their children. But this is an Oyibo nanny who calls out parents on their lack of discipline, and she has never taught them how to beat. She teaches them what to do, what to say, that just a word, by the time she's done with a parent, just the word is enough to, correct that child. We in Africa, we have it too now. Your mom just needs to look at you a certain way. She does not have to raise that hand. She needs to just look at you a certain way. I remember growing up, I used to wish when we were in trouble.
Pause for a second. I'll take that story when we come back. We have to go in the shop. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.